Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down Avatar: Fire and Ash. The third film in James Cameron's Avatar trilogy is now here, and throughout this video we're going to be going through it all. In it, I kind of want to focus on each character's journey and discuss where things may go if they make Avatar 4 and 5. Cameron has talked about them both in the past, and yeah, lots of things to discuss. Okay, so I just want to quickly tell you about our sponsors and how they're perfect for movie lovers like me and you. Obviously, you know, we talk a lot about films at the channel that kind of changed our lives and basically made us who we are today. There's so many films I'll think about at just moments in my life, and I have their quotes constantly running through my head, which can annoy people. Voiceover Podcast, though, is a place that talks about the movies that changed how we see the world, and you're definitely gonna love it. Each episode features a guest who talks about a specific film, and they go over how that impacted them and taught them about life. These movies that move us feature a deep dive into the moments in TV and cinema that changed everything, and if you love this channel, I know you'll love it as well. Hosted by Heather Bigley, she's got a PhD in film studies and most importantly, a love for films and TV. The episodes cover all kinds of releases, from obscure indie films to classics to recent releases. They talk about everything from behind the scenes trivia to cinematography to personal experiences. So go and listen and subscribe to Voiceover, the movies that move us, wherever you listen to your podcasts. They're the perfect follow-on from our videos here, and I really think you'll enjoy the discussions. Again, subscribe and listen to Voiceover, movies that move us, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you again to them for sponsoring the video. Now let's get into the rest of the breakdown. Now the movie opens with Loak entering a spiritual trance in the ancestral tree. In case you've forgotten, these trees serve as connections to Eywa and the ancestors of the species on Pandora. They're basically spiritual hubs and ancestral memory banks that allow characters like Loak to connect with their family. And that's very much how things begin. In the last film, we ended with the death of Netayam and join Loak flying over the forests and oceans of Pandora with him. It's a sweeping, bittersweet sequence that re-establishes Loak's guilt and unresolved grief over the death of his brother. The film is very much a movie centered around dealing with grief and loss, which even kind of plays into the title. I'm sure you've all heard the phrase ashes to ashes and dust to dust. However, there's also the feeling that something new can rise like a phoenix from the fire. But don't expect every character to deal with grief quite like how you might expect. For Loak, his grief manifests into this guilt, whereas his mother falls further into hatred. During Way of Water, we saw how much he hated humanity, and this hatred has grown like a burning fire. She's now lost her home and son as well because of the fire people and wants to burn it all down, into fire and ash. I said into fire and ash! Her hatred becomes a focal point in the film though, even hinting at a potential villainous turn. As for Jake, he's basically thrown himself into military prep and is using his humanity to kind of shut out his emotions. Now that humanity builds a wall between himself and Kiri. It pushes them down separate paths until they finally decide to accept their faults and come together to save their family. As for Spider, his oxygen's failing and thus he must reach a human scientist. However, Kiri sees him as just an embodiment of her hatred and reminder of the losses she suffered so far. So she wants to use this as a way to basically kick him out of the family. Permanently. Eventually, they meet wind traders and Jake makes a deal to smuggle Spider out. When the rest of the kids revolt, Jake and Kiri decide to journey with Spider as a family to say goodbye. While this is going on, Quaritch desperately continues his hunt for Sully. This is when the wildcard faction of the Ash people enter the movie. These volcanic-dwelling Na'vi are disconnected from Eywa and they feel betrayed by the deity due to the destruction of their home. They're now completely nihilistic due to lava ravishing their homeland and have since become a tribe that are similar to the humans. Led by Varang, this name comes from Norse mythology, and she certainly makes a big impact from the off. Slaughtering and scalping the wind traders, they attack Sully's convoy, leaving them completely scattered. The kids escape with Spider, but his oxygen tank fully fails. Kiri desperately attempts a spiritual intervention and attempts to get Eywa to heal the character. Entering the neural network, she encounters a vision that leaves her in an underwater seizure. However, the attempt works and Spider's biology transforms, meaning that his lungs are adapted to Pandora's atmosphere. He's basically been rebuilt to be able to breathe on the planet, and the Ash people are stunned by the god that they've turned their backs on. However, this also gives the army yet another reason to hunt the Sully family and find Spider. What they don't yet realize is that Spider's new symbiotic relationship with Pandora may also kill him if removed. Eventually though, everyone ends up getting caught by someone, and it leads to a precarious third hour for all the Sullys. Quaritch also finds the Ash people too, and he's tortured by Varang's neural bond, James Bond. Relinquishing, he ends up teaching them how to use human guns while the captives are ready for sacrifice. Humanity corrupts even those who are already pretty evil apparently. I love the Ash tribe's inclusion though, and adding a wildcard like this is such a great way to take the third film. The Ash tribe kind of represent the best and worst in both the Na'vi and humans and are a great sort of middle ground between the two. Kiri then manages to trigger an escape through her powers, and while they flee, Quaritch returns to the RDA. Back at the science station, Neytiri's healed while we finally learn the truth about Kiri's origins. Now, last film, we kind of had a similar theory to what's revealed in that she was an immaculate conception in Grace. Turns out she was the result of Eywa's attempt to heal Grace and was created from her DNA and the neural network of Pandora. Thus, she has no father and is the embodiment of Eywa on the planet. So very biblical, but this also comes with its own existential struggle. Eywa constantly shuts her out, and yet she was created for the purpose of being her vessel on the planet. This of course just makes Kiri even more of a moody teenager, realizing she's destined to be an outsider amongst her people. Her abilities also come with a dangerous side of them as well. Jake realizes that Spider's transformation spells doom for Pandora and that it could have catastrophic consequences. The inability to breathe Pandoran air is the only thing that stops the humans from colonizing the planet completely, but with that roadblock removed, nothing's gonna stop us now. The RDA also now sees Spider as the key and the most valuable asset in their invasion. Thus, they want to study and replicate his DNA, and he basically becomes the most important person in the planetary conflict. Continuing with the biblical allusions, I did wonder if he was sort of a Luciferian figure because of that. He's verging on being cast out of paradise, or rather heaven, and this will aid the forces of evil in a kingdom that could overthrow Pandora. Lots of anti-human propaganda on this video, mate. Fucking hell. Thus, Sully returns to the Water Clan, but the Tulkun pacifism prevents them from fighting back. Payakan is still exiled as well, and apologies for butchering all the names in this video. But yeah, the younger Na'vi decide to form a resistance. In this, Jake lashes out at Loak and blames him for his brother's death, which just completely destroys him. Loak almost takes his own life before being stopped by his siblings and friends, and mirroring this explosion, Cameron goes next level with the blow up between Jake and Neytiri. It's one of the rawest scenes he's ever crafted, and both go off on each other. She sees Jake as failing Loak and him emotionally cutting her off. However, Jake fires back about the hatred in her heart towards humans and how she's basically got mixed species kids. It's a great moment that just divides them further and basically leads them into needing to do action. Neytiri says that all she has left is her faith, but the RDA is on the way and prayers ain't gonna cut it. To make matters worse, Quaritch creates an unholy alliance with Varang. Selfridge is also back as well. Yes, Sneaky Pete, Phoebe's brother, is back from the first film. Quaritch finds it difficult acting under the new commander as well, and he decides to head to the Ash people. United in destruction, they want to form an alliance that will bring hell's fire to the planet. When you think about it, Quaritch and Varang are basically perfect opposites. Both are primal and prone to violence, and both have also rejected their own kind. He'll provide the weapons if she can bring the destruction, and together they then begin their raids. Meanwhile, Loa goes to Patayang, who's heading back to his birth clan. Through him, the Tulkun break their pacifism after they realize the Whalers will come for them. Meanwhile, Jake surrenders to protect his family while Spider's taken as well. Jake is obviously public enemy number 1, and he's marched to the base before being placed inside an execution chamber. As this is going on, Spider's study, but luck comes in when Jake's freed by a marine biologist. Due to Spider being the most valuable asset the humans have, he's able to use himself as a shield to protect Sully. Now, unfortunately, this leads to Jake coming to a horrible realization. The humans will never stop until Spider's secrets are unlocked, and thus killing him will avert the colonization and mean that they may back off. In many ways, Spider's another son he's going to potentially have to lose in this insane war for unobtainium. Wait, is that real? Wait, for whale brains, is that what it's all about? I don't know right there, but at this point, Neytiri arrives and stops him killing Spider after finally seeing Spider as a person rather than a symbol of the very thing she hates. This also empowers Jake to embrace his destiny as a Turek Maktub. Now, this is something that the film tries to build in, but I did think it fails to give proper time to it. This is something that will shake him out of his apathy though, and he summons all the clans and Tulkuns before declaring war. A Tulkun baby is also born as well, and the Metkayina gather for another religious parallel in the form of a baptism. Converging at the underwater Tree of Souls, this is ambushed by Ahab, who is of course based on the whale hunter from Moby Dick. Everything kicks off, and we then get a stunning scene set to an eclipse over the water. Cameron really saved the best visuals for his third film, and there's an orchestra of sonar blasts, darkness over the water, and bursts of fire that really illuminate the screen. During this, Kiri and Spider then dive to the spirit tree to call Eywa. It's here that they push through the barrier and come face to face with the deity. If you've ever read some of the theories about what God looks like, then you'll often see the being described as being a childlike figure or even a baby. This is due to its mortality, and this is something that lots of fictional stories have adopted. Even like The Matrix Revolution featured the machine god as a baby to play upon this notion. Fun fact there. However, before the kids can speak, the RDA destroys the tree, which then severs the link. Now, though the kids think they failed, they actually haven't. Eywa answers the call, and all the sea creatures arrive to fight alongside them. Upon dragging Ahab into the depth like the character he's based on, the tide then turns. The way of water turns. While this is going on, Neytiri fights a Varang, and to make matters worse, Ronald gives birth on the battlefield. Ronald dies, but she entrusts her newborn to Neytiri, which is not only a profound gesture that shows respect between the two mothers, but it also symbolises Neytiri getting a new child in the place of the one she lost. Jake also tells Loak that he trusts him. Beyond that, we also get Cameron giving a Cameron call back to aliens. Kiri saves Neytiri and says, "Get away from my mom, you bitch." Which, yeah, considering Sigourney Weaver voices her, was a great little moment. Varang is then pushed towards a volcanic room, and a vortex forms at the destroyed spirit tree. Jake, Quaritch and Spider are then pulled into it, and we get a great visual of their twisted family dynamic. First, Spider falls before Quaritch grabs him. However, Jake grabs Quaritch, which then saves them both. Quaritch actually also nearly relents after seeing Jake's humanity, but he lets himself fall after Neytiri arrives with a bow drawn. His last words here are like, ain't that a bitch? However, his body's never found, and yeah, if we get the fourth film, I'm guessing he'll be back. Because James Cameron said, "I'll be back" in the movie term. Well, he wrote it, you know what I mean. In the end, Spider becomes one of the people, and the villains are vanquished, with them either retreating or scattering to the winds. Sully then brings Spider to the spirit tree, where for the first time in history, a human's welcomed in. Spider connects and sees the Navi and Grace before being welcomed by Kiri. It really builds off the first film and feels like a full circle moment in which the Navi have expanded and embraced an outsider because they showed their dedication and devotion to their cause. This somewhat also kickstarts the next era, and we close the Sully saga with Jake accepting his role as wartime leader. Loak rises as the heir, and Neytiri embraces Spider. Kiri also connects with Eywa, and Tuk emerges as a spiritual prodigy while the Paikin's revolution awakens the ocean. Now, it has been said by a lot of the cast that this could indeed be the final film in telling the narrative arcs that they wanted to. Cameron has even said that he might pass the directing duties of 4 and 5 off to someone else, and yeah, considering how much the guy's life's been these 3 films, it's completely understandable. However, as mentioned, there's always been plans for the next 2 entries. We end with lots of dangling plot threads such as Quaritch's survival, Varang's escape, the RDA regrouping, what Kiri means for the rest of the planet, and overall humanity's sights being set on atmospheric adaptation. Now, as of making this video, 4 and 5 have not been officially greenlit. However, Sigourney Weaver did state in 2018 that she has been working on 4. Many people, obviously took this that they were filming things for it, but Cameron cleared it up that they weren't completely rolling on that movie. This was further discussed in 2019 when Disney bought Fox. Obviously, we get transparency with a lot of stuff like this, and during it, Bob Iger said 4 and 5, though being developed, hadn't been greenlit. John Lando disputed this though, saying 4 had actually over a third of it filmed, with Cameron saying that a lot of the production work had already been done. However, he did say he wouldn't really start working on it until Fire and Ash was fully completed. 4 has been rumoured to have the title of the Tulkun writer, and my guess is that it will focus heavily on Loak. This movie very much acted as a torch passing moment, so yeah, that just makes a lot of sense. Lando also said there will be a 6-year time jump during the first act. Because of this, it has been theorised that's why they shot a third of 4, as it would get the actors that age to 6 years and then finish the 6 years later and you have a natural looking age that's happening on screen in real time. Even though the characters are like mainly CGI and it's only really going to be noticeable on Spider. But yeah, moving on. As for part 5, that's going to take place on Earth, with John Landau stating that that's going to be the direction for the final film. I'm actually pretty excited to see how that future Earth looks and what kind of adventures we can have there. However, I do think a big selling point, well, one of like the only selling points of these movies are the visuals, and I don't know if things might lose their ability to bring people back if it's just set on Earth. If you watch the extended version of the first film, then you'll know we spent a good 15 to 20 minutes there at the beginning of the movie, and it was kind of Blade Runner-y, but not necessarily the thing that I think's gonna blow audiences away. Because yeah, we've seen that so much in like anime, movies, TV, everything at this point. With it returning to Earth though, I do wonder if some of the characters may be captured or if Pandora will take the fight there personally. So far, we haven't seen that they've developed interstellar travel though, so I think it's unlikely that they'll go there themselves. But there are lots of directions they can take things, and I feel like Sully will get captured, brought back to Earth, and then the Pandorans will be like, fuck it, let's go kill them all. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think's gonna happen? Are they gonna kill them all? Are you gonna die? Comment below and let me know. If you want to follow us on Instagram as well and keep up to date with what we're doing, then make sure you check us out at Heavy Spoilers. Did you know as well that members of the channel also get early access to videos like this every single week, and if you click the join button it costs just 99 cents a month, but for that you're getting lots of big breakdowns included. If not though, thank you, you're a nice guy anyway. I appreciate the support you're watching this part of the video, and it is Christmas, so I'll let you off. Speaking of Christmas, we also have our t-shirt store right below the video where you can pick up lots of our merch, and yeah, we're running gift cards at the moment, so if you want to buy something special for someone else, get them a bloody gift card. They will love it, they'll look fantastic, and they'll owe it all to you, and they'll be forever in your debt. Now, if you want something else to watch, mate, why not watch the trailer breakdown of Avengers Doomsday, which was shown before this movie, or you might have seen it on a cell phone on Twitter if you're a bit like me. But yeah, huge thank you for sticking through this video. I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.